Hey Reddit. I'm Michael, 26. A few days ago, I got a text from my parents after 6 years of complete silence. They were begging me to come home for Christmas. At first, I thought maybe, just maybe, they had changed. Maybe they finally regretted everything they had done. But then I realized the truth, and trust me, it was worse than I ever imagined. I hadn't spoken to my parents since I was 20 years old, not since they drained my entire college fund and handed it over to my younger sister, Ashley. Not since they told me to be a good brother and understand that she needed it more than I did. Not since they cut me off completely when I refused to just accept it. I was supposed to disappear quietly, work dead-end jobs, while Ashley got everything handed to her, acting as if my own future didn't matter. So I did the only thing I could. I walked away. I built my life without them, and for 6 years I thought I was finally free. Then I got the text. It came while I was at work. "Mom, Michael, we miss you. Can you come home for Christmas?" I had to read it twice. I even laughed because it had to be some kind of sick joke. I didn't reply. I shoved my phone in my pocket, kept working, and kept my head down. That night, as I sat alone in my apartment staring at my half-eaten dinner, something nagged at me. Against my better judgment, I opened Facebook. The first thing I saw made my stomach drop, a post from my mom declaring, "We're so excited to have both our children home for Christmas this year." Hundreds of comments followed, people congratulating them on how wonderful it was that we were all one happy family. The post included a photo of my parents standing in front of a huge Christmas tree with Ashley and her fiancé, but no mention of me. It clicked instantly. This wasn't about making things right. They needed me for appearances, for their perfect family Christmas. Ashley was getting married soon, and they wanted everything to look good for their relatives. I should have ignored it, blocked their number, and kept living my life. But after everything they put me through, after they stole my future and threw me away like I was nothing, I wasn't going to let them use me as a prop. If they wanted me home, they were going to regret it. I should have ignored that text. I should have blocked their number and spent Christmas alone, in peace. But the moment I saw that Facebook post, something inside me snapped. They wanted their perfect family Christmas? Fine. I'd give them something they'd never forget. I hadn't been home in 6 years. I hadn't seen my childhood house or set foot in my parents' neighborhood. Yet as I pulled up to their driveway, everything looked exactly the same. The same Christmas lights strung around the porch, the same inflatable Santa on the lawn, the same fake warmth radiating from the windows. For a second, I almost turned around. But then I saw them through the glass. Mom, Dad, and Ashley. All sitting together like a happy family, as if I had never existed. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. No, I wasn't backing out. I knocked, and a few seconds later the door swung open. "Mom!" she gasped. "Michael, you actually came?" She pulled me into a hug before I could react. It felt wrong, like a stranger grabbing me on the street. I stepped back, and Dad appeared in the hallway, his smile far too wide, as if he had practiced it. "Son, it's good to see you," he said. I forced a nod. "Yeah, you too," he lied. Ashley came down the stairs next, dressed in an expensive sweater, her makeup flawless, her hair perfectly done, as if she were about to step into a Hallmark movie. The last time I saw her, she was just a spoiled teenager. Now she looked even more entitled. "Michael!" she squealed, throwing her arms around me like we'd ever been close, as if she hadn't been the reason my life was torn apart. I didn't hug her back. She pulled away, frowning. "Aren't you happy to be home?" I forced a smile, a thrill lie. Number 2. Mom had gone all out. A massive Christmas dinner spread the table. Roast beef, mashed potatoes, stuffing, fresh bread, the works. I sat down, forcing myself to play along for now. But 5 minutes in, it became painfully clear why they wanted me there. "Ashley's wedding is in the spring," Mom announced, giving me a pointed look. I nodded slowly. "Cool," Mom frowned. "Dad, Ashley's been planning for months," he added after clearing his throat. Ashley beamed. "It's going to be so elegant. Big venue, live music, over 200 guests." I took a bite of food and said nothing. Mom sighed. "Michael, aren't you going to congratulate your sister?" I chewed slowly, then said, "Sure, congrats, Ashley." Hope your fiancé's parents paid for it, because we both know Mom and Dad are broke." Instantly, Ashley's smile froze. Mom's hand tightened around her fork, and Dad's jaw clenched. I leaned back in my chair. "What? No, warm. Thank you for the guy whose future you stole," Mom exclaimed sharply. "Michael, let's not ruin Christmas, right? We wouldn't want to ruin the fake family image, huh?" Dad slammed his fork down. "That's enough." But I wasn't done. Not even close. I looked straight at Ashley. "You ever feel guilty?" she blinked. "About what?" I laughed loudly. "Oh, I don't know. About the fact that you took everything that was meant for me. My college fund, my future." Ashley rolled her eyes. "Michael, you act like I stole it. Mom and Dad made a decision. It wasn't my fault." My blood boiled. I turned to my parents. "You know, you could have split it. You could have helped us both. But no, you gambled on Ashley. I bet you never thought I'd actually make something of myself." Mom's face turned red. "Michael, that's not fair," she stammered. I smirked. "Oh, it's not fair, but stealing from your own son, that was fair." Dad suddenly looked uncomfortable. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes, and Ashley just crossed her arms, looking bored. Then it hit me. I wasn't here just for show. I was here because they wanted something. I leaned forward. "All right, what is it?" Mom's eyes flickered. What do you mean?" I scoffed. "You think I don't see it? You only texted me now, after 6 years, right before Ashley's wedding. Why did no one speak then?" Ashley huffed. "Fine, we wanted to ask if you'd help pay for the wedding." I laughed, a loud, hard laugh until my stomach hurt. "Then you're serious?" Mom shifted uncomfortably. "We thought since you have a good job now, you might want to help your family." I wiped away a fake tear. "That's funny, because last time I checked, you weren't my family anymore." Dad's hands balled into fists. "Michael, enough." I stood up. "You want money? Ask Ashley's in-laws. Ask the people you actually care about, because you sure as hell aren't getting a damn cent from me." I grabbed my coat. "Ashley," she gasped. "You're leaving." I looked at her. "Yeah, and guess what? You can block me again, because I don't care." Mom's voice broke. "Michael, please." I shook my head. "You made your choice 6 years ago. Now I'm making mine." Without another word, I walked out the door and didn't look back. I should have felt satisfied, walking out of that house after 6 years of silence, finally telling them the truth to their faces. I made it clear I wasn't their backup plan, their walking wallet, or their punching bag. Yet as I drove away, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over, not yet. When I got back to my apartment, I felt exhausted, drained in a way that sleep wouldn't fix. I dropped my bag by the door and collapsed onto the couch. For a second, I let myself breathe. Let myself believe it was finally done. Then my phone buzzed. I should have ignored it, but I didn't, and that was my mistake. "Mom, Michael, please, can we talk?" I stared at the message and shook my head. Then another one. "Mom, we never wanted things to be this way." "Mom, your father's upset. He just doesn't know how to say it." "Mom, we still love you." I laughed bitterly. Love. No, this wasn't love. It was guilt tripping, a final grasp at control. Then the final message came through, one that made my blood run cold. "Mom, if you're not going to help with the wedding, at least come say goodbye to your father. He's not well." My jaw clenched. There it was, the emotional blackmail I had been waiting for in years. I hesitated. If my father was actually sick, if something was really wrong, would I regret not going back? Would I let my anger get in the way of saying goodbye? I ran a hand down my face. I knew what they were doing. It was probably just another trick. But still, what if it wasn't? Against every ounce of logic, I got back in the car and drove straight back to the house. I swore I'd never set foot in there again. When I knocked, the door opened instantly. Mom looked tired, like she'd been crying. She stepped aside. "Come in, Michael." I walked inside. The house felt different. Quieter. Darker. something was off. Mom led me to the living room, and there he was, Dad, sitting in his armchair, staring at the fireplace. For the first time since I got back, he looked old. He turned to me with a blank expression. "You came." I swallowed hard. "Yeah," Mom said. "You weren't doing well." A beat of silence passed before Dad frowned. "I'm fine." His words were sharp, as if he were annoyed by the suggestion. And that's when it hit me. Mom lied. She used his health as an excuse to drag me back, to make me feel guilty. Rage boiled in my chest. I turned to her. "You lied to me." She stiffened. "Michael, I just laughed and shook my head. "Of course they do this." I turned to leave, but then Ashley stepped into the room. The second I saw her, I knew this wasn't about Dad, or even about family. This was about her. Ashley crossed her arms. "So, are you going to be reasonable now?" I stared at her. "What the hell are you talking about?" She sighed, exasperated. "Mom told me she got you to come back so we can drop all the drama and just talk about the wedding." "The wedding? That's all," I repeated. This was not about Dad, not about regrets, not about apologies. They just wanted money. They wanted me to fund Ashley's perfect day. And I snapped. I took a step closer. "No, I am done." Ashley blinked. "What?" I turned to Mom, to Dad, to all of this. I gestured around the room. "You called me here. You lied. You used Dad as an excuse. And for what? So Ashley could get her damn wedding paid for." Mom's lips pressed together. "I just thought if we could get you here, you'd cave." I shook my head. "I don't owe you anything. Not after what you did to me." Ashley scoffed. "You're so dramatic. You have money. You could help if you wanted to." I clenched my fist. "Oh, I have money. You mean the money I earned without any of you? The money I made while you were busy spending my college fund?" She rolled her eyes. "You're so bitter." I let out a cold laugh. "And you're entitled." I stepped back. "I'm done." Mom gasped. "Michael." But this time I wasn't coming back. I blocked their numbers the moment I got home, deleted every text, every email, every single reminder of them. And for the first time in years, I felt free. No more guilt, no more obligations, no more being used. They made their choice. Now I made mine. And honestly, it was the best decision of my life. I should have known it wouldn't be that easy. I should have known that people like my parents and Ashley don't give up just because you tell them to. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No anxiety, no guilt, no crushing weight of family expectations. But when I woke up, that peace was gone. My phone was blowing up. Blocked numbers mean nothing when people can just use another phone. And my family, they were determined. First, it was Mom. "Michael, please, let's just talk. We love you. We just want to fix things." Then Dad. "This is ridiculous. Family is family. You don't just turn your back on us." And then the worst one, Ashley. "You're being so selfish. I hope you know that." Then Ashley. "I bet you love knowing you're ruining my wedding, huh?" Finally, Ashley added, "Fine, stay out of my life. Just know that when you finally regret this, it'll be too late." I sat there reading every message, feeling absolutely nothing, because I knew the truth. This wasn't about love. It wasn't about fixing things. It was about control, and they had just realized they lost it. I was done. Completely, utterly done. But they weren't, because later that day, someone showed up at my apartment. When I opened the door, I wasn't even surprised. Mom stood there, looking pitiful, as if she'd been crying for hours, playing the role of the heartbroken mother who just wanted her son back. I was sick of it. She stepped forward. "Michael, please, I just want us to talk." I held up a hand. "Stop. Just stop." Her lip quivered. "I just want us to talk," she repeated. I crossed my arms. "You want to talk? Fine, let's talk. But before you say a single word, I need you to be honest." She swallowed. I cut her off. "Why am I here, Mom? Why did you really want me home for Christmas? She hesitated, then finally said, Because we missed you. I laughed. A loud, sharp, cold laugh. Try again. Her face twisted. Because we wanted to fix things. Wrong answer. Her jaw clenched and finally, the truth slipped out. Because we needed your help. There it was. The real reason. Not because you loved me, not because you regretted anything, but because you wanted something from me. And when you didn't get it, you turned on me like you always do. I stepped closer. You don't love me, Mom. You love what I can do for you. She flinched. That's not true. I shook my head. It is, and you know it. You thought you could manipulate me into being your backup plan. Tears filled her eyes. Michael, please, no. Her breath hitched. You don't mean that, I said, holding her gaze. Yes, I do, I continued, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, because she realized she had actually lost me. I stepped back and pointed at the door. Go home, Mom. I'm done. She looked like she wanted to say something, to beg, but she knew it was over. She turned, walked out the door, and didn't look back. And that was the last time I ever saw her. It's been a year. A full year of silence. No texts, no calls, no sudden guilt trips. And you know what? I've never been happier. I built a life without them, without their manipulation, without their lies. And for the first time in my life, I feel free. Truly, completely free. And honestly, that's the best decision I've ever made. A year of silence had passed since that final goodbye, a year in which I rebuilt my life brick by brick, piece by painful piece. Every morning, I woke up with the taste of freedom mingled with the bittersweet remnants of old wounds. I spent countless hours in a small studio apartment that I'd managed to rent in a quieter part of town. A place that, for the first time, felt truly mine. Here, I began to rediscover parts of myself I'd long since buried beneath layers of anger and regret. I threw myself into my work with an intensity one never knew I possessed. My days were filled with creative projects and long stretches at the local community center, where I taught a creative writing class. Working with students, each with their own broken pieces and hopeful hearts, reminded me that pain could be transformed into art. I saw in their struggles a reflection of my own, and in their courage, I found inspiration to push forward. The classroom became a sanctuary, a safe space where vulnerability was celebrated rather than scorned. Outside of work, I began taking long walks in the park, a habit that soon became my meditation. The city, once a chaotic blur of noise and pressure, now unfolded before me in quiet, reflective moments. I'd sit on a weathered bench beneath an old oak tree and watch as the seasons changed, a silent reminder that life, no matter how harsh, always moved forward. In those moments, I found solace. I started to understand that healing wasn't about forgetting the past, but about making peace with it. One chilly autumn evening, while wandering through a local art fair, I noticed a small exhibition of photographs. The images captured the raw beauty of everyday life, moments of joy and sorrow intertwined in a delicate dance. As I stood there, a photograph caught my eye, a portrait of a lone figure walking along a deserted beach at sunrise. The image resonated with me deeply, mirroring the solitude and hope that had defined my recent days. I struck up a conversation with the photographer, a soft-spoken woman named Laura. Her kindness and the gentle way she spoke about her work reminded me that beauty could be found even in the most unexpected places. Laura and I began meeting regularly, first for coffee, then for long walks along the river. Our conversations ranged from art and literature to our most guarded secrets. In her eyes, I saw a reflection of my own struggles and dreams, and slowly, I started to trust again. With Laura, I discovered that love could be patient, understanding, and above all, healing. We never rushed into anything, instead allowing our bond to grow organically, nurtured by shared experiences and the unspoken understanding that both of us had survived our own personal storms. Yet, the ghost of my past still lingered at the edges of my newfound happiness. Occasionally, I'd receive an email or a text, automated messages from my old family, laden with forced apologies or hollow promises of change. For a long time, each notification brought a rush of anger and a tinge of sadness. I debated whether to respond, to let them in just a little, But each time, I reminded myself that my freedom was hard-won, and allowing them back in would only reopen old wounds. I had learned that some doors, once closed, are best left that way. As the months turned to seasons, I found myself embracing a more active role in the community. I began volunteering at a local shelter, offering writing workshops and mentoring troubled youth. It was humbling, rewarding, and it helped me realize that while I couldn't rewrite the past, I could shape the future. Every smile I encountered, every thank you whispered in the quiet of the night, reinforced the truth that my worth wasn't measured by what I'd lost but by what I had yet to give. One crisp winter morning, as I was setting up for a community art project in the park, I caught sight of a familiar figure across the field. For a split second, my heart skipped. Was it possible? My family had tried to erase themselves from my life. But here, in the midst of an ordinary day, I saw a woman with eyes full of regret and sorrow. It was my sister, Ashley. She hesitated, then slowly approached, her steps tentative. The air between us was thick with memories, unsaid apologies, and the weight of what could have been. "Michael," she began softly. I'm sorry. I never meant for things to be like that." Her voice wavered, and for a moment, I saw in her eyes the same desperation I'd once known so well from our parents. I took a steady breath, feeling the resolve I'd built over the past year steady my trembling hands. "Ashley," I said slowly, "I've spent a long time learning that apologies don't erase the past, they can only pave the way for a different future." I paused, choosing my words carefully. "I can't undo what's been done, but I hope you can understand that I'm not looking to rebuild what we lost. I'm trying to find a way to move on, without you or them dictating who I should be." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes, and then she turned away, leaving me standing in the cold winter morning with a bittersweet mix of relief and sadness. I knew that this encounter wouldn't mend all the broken pieces of our past, but it was a step, a necessary step, toward the healing I was finally beginning to embrace. In the quiet that followed, I felt a gentle shift inside me. I realized that true freedom wasn't found in the absence of pain, but in the courage to face it and to build something new from its ruins. I returned to my studio, to my writing, to my community work, and to Laura, whose presence had become a beacon of hope and understanding. With every day that passed, I reclaimed a bit more of myself, weaving together fragments of a life that was entirely my own. Now, as I sit in the soft glow of a late afternoon, sipping tea in the company of good friends and the reassuring presence of Laura, I understand that the road to healing is long and winding. The echoes of a painful past may never fully fade, but they no longer hold me captive. I've learned that forgiveness isn't a gift for those who hurt me. It's a gift I give myself, a way to finally let go of the chains that once bound me. And so, I move forward, one day at a time, one step at a time, forever grateful for the strength I discovered within and the life I have chosen to embrace. The scars remain, but they are no longer marks of defeat. Instead, they are symbols of survival, a testament to the fact that even when life breaks you apart, you have the power to build something beautiful from the rubble. In this new chapter, I have found my own voice, my own rhythm, and my own path. And while the past will always be a part of me, it no longer defines me. I am Michael, a man who has faced the darkness and emerged into the light, a man who has learned that the true measure of freedom lies in the courage to live authentically, unburdened by the expectations and manipulations of those who once claimed to love him.